Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start shooting 30. I've shot 30 and I decided in. I forgot to video that one. But, so a touch point that I wanted to hit on was, so when you're at 20, moving on to 30, 40, what have you, right? Is you have more chance of natural error. Now, like this V right here, right? This V, so at 20 yards, there's less chance of your natural movement that's going to impede your shot. But the further you get out, say 30, 40 yards, you're really going to start seeing that movement that you naturally have, and it's going to start really affecting your shot. Really, the only way I've known to counteract that is to keep shooting and try to minimize your movement as much as possible. So if you don't shoot often, then it's going to you're going to have that movement. You got to practice and then keep just honing in. If not, you're going to have those natural errors, and they're going to show in your shot. But today, what I'm going to wind up doing is I'm going to go ahead and shoot my arrows with my broadheads. And I'm going to shoot them about 30 yards. See how they fly with the arrow. Now, the other thing is I got VPA single bevel broadheads, right bevel. And once I get these shot, and if I like the way they're shooting and grouping and all that good stuff, or if I like everything about it, I'm going to go ahead and sharpen these bad boys up. I'll make a video on how to sharpen them up. This is the way I do it. I've watched a lot of videos on how to sharpen these things. But me and one of my buddies, we kind of came up with a pretty good system where you're cutting hair off the side of your arm. So, and most of my arrows have punctured through the deer. So I really haven't had too much trouble finding my arrow. Depending on my shot placement, some days I've had a little trouble finding the deer, so I'm not perfect on that. But I found most deers that I've shot with this. Okay, all but one really. Gave it a valiant effort for sure. That's a different story for a different day. But anyway, so I'm gonna get out there, start shooting, let y'all see me shoot a few, and that's really about it. So there's something I want to show you. Y'all see my target out there? Well, I usually put something where I plan on standing when I set up my target. So right now I got it set up for 30 yards. But I always use something kind of vibrant just so I can laser range find it and freaking hopefully it works out. Just want to show that to you. Again, I shot with my hat. Normally don't do that. I yanked that one. Not my best day of shooting so far. Alright, I felt warmed up. I was not in the right spot, I guess. I don't know. Alright, so after that last grouping, I'll show you what two of them kind of look right, but that last one I twitched on that and I came down a lot. So top two, kind of what you want to see. That bottom one, that was 100% me. I kind of twitched on that one as I was coming on the release. So not much I can do on the adjustments yet, just because I want to make sure that I'm right. But as far as the way they're flying, I think they're flying good with the broadheads. It's just fine tuning, because once you put the broadheads on, your flight pattern might be a little different. So yeah, you may have to tweak, Noctune a little bit better, or just side in just a little bit, right? So do what you got to do on that, make it happen. But that's pretty much it. Once you get your broadheads on, you just want to shoot them, make sure that they're right, at least if you got a fixed blade. Alright, I'm going to take my first 40-yard attempt of the season. I'll show you what the results come back with. Alright, that was my first 40-yard attempt of the season. Not my greatest, but now I know where to go. It's just the learning steps, learning process, all that good stuff. So, I'm going to keep shooting, see how I get. But I'm probably going to go back to 30, really keep dialing it in there. But I was just wanting to test out my 40, see how well it was doing. Then I might take another step back on a 40, but maybe not. Like I said in previous videos, around here in Missouri, probably not getting that 40-yard shot off. The most I ever got was like a 25. So I try to stay between that 20 to 30-yard mark, especially for here. Now, if I was going somewhere else, yeah, I'd have to get a lot better at 40. But I think for right now, that wasn't a bad shot for 40. Seems I was the first time in like 2 years since I shot it. So anyway, I'm going to keep shooting. Tag y'all in if there's something going on. Okay. So after I shot that 40, I hit a little off. Hey, it happens, right? Then I come back to 30. I hit a little off. Hey, it happens. But I want y'all to know, sometimes it's in your mind, right? Your worst enemy can be that thing between your ears. Well, happened to me, okay? Because as I was collecting, I'm like, man, what is wrong with me? All right, look, there's a lot to consider, but at the same time, it's very instinctive as well, right? Sometimes the best thing to do is not to think about it. Once I told myself, don't think about it, I'm hitting baseball size. That's what I want. So sometimes it's in your mind, right? Because you think, okay, it was the wind. Okay, it's these broadheads. Okay, it's this, it's that, it's that. Sometimes it's not even any of that. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. Just think instinctive. All right, that's what I wound up having to do to myself, is I was psyching myself out. Now, I will tell you, I got very close to an expensive party trick. So, and then earlier I did do something very similar to this, where I actually cut the fletching off. I'll show you what it looks like. But I had a backup. That's why I like to buy extra arrows, get them all tuned up and ready to go, just in case that happens. Now I don't got to stop and refletch. I can do that when I have time. So, but anyway, hey, sometimes it's not as hard as you're making it out to be. It's just go for it. Okay, so like I told you, I was pretty close to having a pretty expensive party trick. Yeah, it's on that one. I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but there's a little scratch right there on the fletching. So after I took a look at the arrow, gave it a little lobe taps, tap, 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 it's good. Now, on one of my future or previous shots, this is what happened. Okay, it's going to happen, right? Especially if you get really tight and you keep it that way, it's going to happen. Okay, so then you can go back and just start from the ground up, right? I can take all these fletchings off, get some glue remover or alcohol, get that glue off, and then restart from the ground up on this arrow. There's no problem with that at all. For me, it's kind of fun. It's relaxing, especially if I just have nothing to do. Now I got something to do. Right now I still got like two other arrows set up. So even if I do it to one of these three, I'm good to go. But it happens, right? So just don't get in your own head about it. Kind of like I did earlier, like y'all saw some of my shots weren't the greatest, right? But then I told myself, stop overthinking it, just shoot the dang bow. And that's what I did. So sometimes that's what you got to do to yourself. You psych yourself out, you got to unpsych yourself, right? Last year I missed 2 deer before I finally connected, and I was just psyching myself out. And I was considering too much instead of just being instinctive, not really thinking about it. Just do what you practice this entire time. And some of that stuff was me trying to change what I was doing. And again, like, if you got a system that works, stick with that system. You don't need to change it. Now, if there's something better out there, maybe. But if it works for you, it works for you. I'm not here to tell you to change what you're doing. But really, that pretty much wraps up my video. Just don't forget, really trying to hone in on the basics, right? The more you hone in on the basics, do the same thing every time, and then keep your movement minimal, you'll be okay. Before I let you get off here, there's one more thing I want to talk about when it comes to shooting your bow with a broadhead. Not a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people talk about it, but the only reason I know is because one of my buddies told me about it, and it came from first-hand experience of that's how he freaking learned. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so as you can see, we got the broadhead on now, right? So, whenever you're actually shooting your bow and things like that, like as you see, I got my finger on the end of it. I will not do that when I do my drawback. I'm going to put it down, put it on the frame, and I'm going to leave it there, okay? The other thing is you don't want your finger coming up into the arrow's flight path, alright? Because that's when you're going to clip your finger. Especially if you got a razor sharp broadhead, a good chunk of that finger's coming off. So, whenever I draw back, I like to keep my fingers, again, you can open them, but you got to keep them out of the way of that broadhead, right? And you definitely don't want that anywhere up near that top. So keep them down, and then again, just do the same thing you've been doing this whole time, right? But that's a big takeaway, is a lot of people don't talk about that I've seen. But once you get a broadhead on there, it's supposed to be sharp. So keep your hands away from that, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I haven't heard too many horror stories about it, but I have heard horror stories. So it's just one of those things, whenever you get them on there and you're actually shooting your broadhead, keep in the back of your mind, just make sure that you're fine and you're good. But here in future videos, I'm going to be starting to post on tree climbing. And so I've got a saddle. I'm probably going to climb in the saddle. And then I'm probably going to climb in my tree stand climber. Now, hey, there's a lot of people out there that do their own thing, okay? You do yours, I do mine. I'm just out here showing you what I do. And again, redneck, I just do what I can to make it work. So I've done a few things to make it work, but I'm going to try to teach y'all the safest way that I've come to know, and probably the safest and most efficient way. So not everything I do is by the manual, but you know what? As long as it works, it works. And I haven't died yet, and the way I do it, I haven't heard anybody else dying, really. So anyway, that pretty much wraps up this video. Once I start sharpening and stuff like that, I'll bring y'all in, and we'll start sharpening some broadheads. I might take a few more shots at 40 eventually. I just want to see if I can keep going out. It's all about progression as well. So, do I plan on taking a 40-yard shot in the woods out here? Probably not. But a 30, 20-yard? Abso-freaking-lutely. So, I'm going to keep really honing in on those aspects of hunting. And, yeah, we're gearing up for hunting season. For us, it's just less than a month away. So, good luck to y'all. And if y'all need anything on what y'all want to see, I can learn it. And maybe I can post it on here. But I appreciate y'all tuning in. Like, subscribe. Again, this is Caleb the Outdoorsman. All right, bye.